Today, I will tell you that everything you've learned about orgasms, everything you've been told about orgasms, is a lie. It is a hoax. That orgasms actually have no significance at all if you want a really amazing sex life. It will challenge a lot of what you believe, and I don't expect you to agree with it immediately. I will unpack it for you point by point. I will explain everything in detail. So please don't expect to understand it immediately. Please give it a chance, because what I have to tell you today might be the single biggest transformation in your sex life from here onwards. Orgasms don't make good sex. Orgasms will not make good sex if you try to achieve good sex with orgasms. Orgasms can't make good sex. They don't have that ability. You have been told that all your hopes will be fulfilled, all your needs in sex will be fulfilled with an orgasm, that sex will be amazing when you get an orgasm. All of it has been a lie. And by focusing on orgasms in sex, you will not be focusing on what is really important in sex. You will not create what is really important and really amazing and really powerful in sex. By focusing on orgasms, you will miss the opportunity to create really good sex and to make sex really powerful and nourishing for you. You will malnourish yourself and you will malnourish your relationship. So considering orgasms important will have major negative consequences on your sex life. It will really limit your sex life. The only way for you to have a really amazing, rich, plentiful sex life is to completely let go of this idea that orgasms have any importance at all. Now, before we go on, there are a couple of things that I want to clarify. First of all, I am not saying that orgasms are bad. I'm not saying you should avoid them. I'm not saying that you should not have them. All I'm saying is that they are not important. They have no significance. It doesn't matter if you have them. The only problem in sex becomes when you think that orgasms are important, you give them excessive attention, excessive time, you work on them, and you're not doing other things in sex that you would be better off doing. You can continue having as many orgasms as you want without any detriment to your sex life, as long as they make no difference and no significance to you. So all I'm saying is that orgasms are not important, that if you want to improve your sex life, do not do it in that direction. Do something else to improve your sex life. That is all I'm saying. Secondly, I want to clarify what I mean by orgasms, because we have this fashion in our media at the moment to call everything an orgasm. If I tickle my ear with my finger, it is an orgasm. And I've seen articles that say 52 kinds of orgasms you can have, written by a journalist, not a sex expert. So there's a lot of that stuff out there. So classically, an orgasm means that you are stimulating the genitals, building up that sensation, building up that sexual tension, because you want to achieve that one amazing sensation of pleasure at the end that will feel like a release, like a massive sensation of release that's very pleasant, and then there will be that relaxation that you will enjoy. So this is typically the orgasm that happens in the penis when the penis is stimulated to the ejaculation. This is also the classic clitoral orgasm for women, achieved with hands, with oral sex, with a vibrator. And for women, this is also the nature of the G-spot orgasm. It also has that nature of stimulating to a peak and then releasing through one intense sensation of release. What I'm not talking about in this piece is other things that have been kind of defined as an orgasm, been called an orgasm, but they're different kinds of experiences. They're kind of ongoing experiences without actually reaching any kind of peak or release, like the multiple orgasm for men, in quotation marks, the cervical orgasm, the kind of full body orgasm, which people normally by this, they understand just waves of sexual energy flowing through you on, and your whole body feeling vibrant. So a lot of things are called orgasm as well these days. And I might get sometimes an argument that, you know, all those peak orgasms, of course, they don't mean anything. But if you're having this full body orgasm, the cervical orgasm, orgasmic waves, multiple orgasm in quotation marks, and having those kinds of orgasms is actually really important for you, for your sexual energy, for your well-being, etc. And I will challenge that too. First of all, these are not, strictly speaking, orgasms. At best, I call them orgasmic experiences normally, or orgasmic waves, or being orgasmic. So I try to distinguish them from the word orgasm. I think we can't really kind of stick flags into everything in sex and name everything an orgasm and then say that, orgasms are important because everything in sex is now called an orgasm. That becomes a bit of a nonsensical argument. If you call all sexual energy an orgasm, then it becomes very difficult and we have to basically stop for a second and really clarify what we are going to mean by an orgasm. The only so-called orgasms that are really valuable and really enriching for you are the experiences where they approach just an experience of flowing sexual energy happening in your body, flowing into your body for some time. Now, if you want to call this an orgasm, you can call this an orgasm, but in essence, what it is just the experience of flowing sexual energy into your body. So I call those other experiences orgasms sometimes as well, because I find it interesting that we can redefine and expand the definition of an orgasm eventually, and also because I have to use the search engines of the world as well, and if that word is established, then I will make content on it, and then I will explain what that experience actually is. What I'm talking about here is the way we understand the orgasm, the way we all understand an orgasm, the way we always understood it, the way the media presents it to us. But I will mention at the end of this piece briefly how everything that I say applies also to all the other orgasmic experiences that you might be thinking about, because actually the same applies to them as well. They are not important, they are not significant, and if you focus on them in sex, it's only going to be detrimental to your sex life. So here's the program for today. This is what I'm going to present to you in this order so you know what's coming. First of all, the first point is that orgasms don't make good sex at all. This is not what makes good sex at all. If you want good sex, don't do orgasms. Everything you want from sex is not going to come from an orgasm. Secondly, orgasms are the single most detrimental factor to your sex life. Orgasms are the most common thing that ruins sex for people in most cases. Third, orgasms are not necessary. Some people believe that you need an orgasm in sex, otherwise, if you don't get that release, you're going to be left tense, it's not going to be good for you. This is not true. I will explain that as well. Fourth, I will explain that orgasms are not the best experience in sex, because some people believe this is the most amazing thing you can feel in sex, and therefore, how is it possible to not include it in sex? I will tell you that it is not true at all as well. And lastly, I will tell you how you need to go about orgasms in your sex life. You don't want to ban them. They're not illegal. They're not bad for you. You can have them as many as you want. But how you can have them in your sex life, how you can integrate them into your sex life and enjoy them without them dominating you ideologically and ruining your sex life and liberating your sex life to actually become good in ways that really matter. So that's what it will be for today. So let's get going. So first of all, people might find it difficult to believe. Why is everybody saying that orgasms are really important? How can everybody be wrong? And this guy is saying that they're not important. How can that be the case? Well, actually, everything that I will tell you, I'm sure will make sense to you as well. And you will see that it is just common sense. Why does everybody else around you believe that orgasms are important? Why does all the media tell you that orgasms are important? Well, it is just a case of a mass illusion, of a mass delusion. It's not the first time we've done this. We've done this many times before. And the area of sex is not an area that is particularly seriously approached or gets enough of attention. It doesn't really get a lot of serious research and discussion. It's actually a very neglected and uncared area with very sloppy theoretical foundation. It's mainly run by commercial media and sensationalist economics and fads and opinions. So it is just a mass delusion that is spread. Now, if you want a very brief history lesson, so again, I give that history lesson in many episodes. Sex wasn't allowed for thousands of years. Nobody could talk about it. Nobody could learn about it. And then in the 50s, a bunch of doctors, male doctors mainly, important to remember, gather around the map of human anatomy. And they look at the cross-section of a human body. And they say, well, now that we're going to release sex again, what is it going to be about? What are people supposed to do in sex? So look at this nerve here that goes into the genitals. This is the nerve that mammals stimulate to get a pleasant sensation. So that drives them into sex, and humans have been doing this too. So therefore, that should be the purpose of sex, right? And then everybody says, sure, sounds logical, sounds functional, sounds biological. So that should be the purpose of sex. Anything else? Anything else feels good in sex that people might be doing? Don't think so. I think everybody is pretty much enjoying this. Why? Well, because for thousands of years, sex hasn't been allowed to develop or to be talked about or to be learned about. So everybody's just been doing this very basic thing that they've discovered by themselves in the darkness, in the silence, with nobody seeing them. So they've just been stimulating their genitals to get that one sensation because that's the one thing they've been able to work out by themselves. So at the moment, nobody's enjoying anything else. Okay, so in that case, if that's what people are enjoying, so this is the purpose of sex now. Agreed? Agreed. Let's publish this. This is the purpose of sex. And since then, it's a very easy blueprint to follow. It's very easy to understand. It's nothing complicated. Don't make people think too much. The more you focus on one thing, the more you practice one thing, the more you perfect this one thing, the less you do other things, the more it seems like this thing, is better and other things are worse because they atrophy, because they're not used, because they're not developed. So it's basically a mammalian animal version of having sex that has not been updated for the needs of what humans need today, what is sex for humans now? What do humans actually want to experience from sex? What are the important feelings, the important experiences, the important nutrients for humans in sex with people who they actually love or at the very least are attracted to and fancy? The purpose of sex wasn't defined from human needs and aspirations and the feelings that are desired. The purpose of sex was defined by just looking at the functional anatomical design in the body. Now, let me ask you a quick question. The opposing thumb on your hand, the thumb that opposes your other fingers, which is characteristic for apes and monkeys. Why do you think you have it? The real answer is it is for hanging off trees. This is what it is developed for. Now, are you going to hang off trees today with your opposing thumb? Or are you going to use a pen? Are you going to use a guitar? Are you going to use a paintbrush? Are you going to use a car wheel? Are you going to use a mouse to create a piece of intellectual work or artistic work on your computer? So it's like this. We have this sexual body, but it is no longer there for the purpose of achieving a sexual release in the way that mammals are seeking that release for procreative purposes. So once that purpose for sex was published, it became an established idea. This is what sex is for. This is what you need to be doing in sex. And it basically has not been challenged since then because it quickly became churned over into the commercial media machine. And it has never been able to get out of that machine. Because people have been told that orgasms is the purpose of sex, they are looking for content on the orgasms. Because people are looking for content on the orgasms, the media provides content on the orgasms because they want to be popular and this is what people are looking for. Because the media provides content on the orgasms, people think that the most important thing is the orgasm. So they keep looking for more content on the orgasms. Because people are looking for more content on the orgasms, the media sees that this is definitely a very popular content to produce. So we need to make more content on the orgasms. So in the end, you just have mass faith into one idea that was initially proposed. This idea is no longer challenged. It is just assumed to be the case, like the truth, like some kind of reality. It's a collective effect. You believe it because everybody else around you believes it, and so does everybody else. It is just a case of collective delusion. But the personal experience that I'm talking about, for you individually, probably rings true. And look, there is a certain reality that you must be aware of. Most people are having orgasms all the time because this is such a convention. Most people are so diligent about it. They go into sex and they make sure that they work on the orgasm. They make sure they get the orgasm. If not with the body, then with the vibrator. They will definitely knock it off and then they will go to sleep. And most people feel that their sex is boring, it is unsatisfying, it feels tedious, it feels lifeless, it feels unloving, it feels like it is devoid of any nutrition. Now, this is a discrepancy because if orgasms really made you happy in sex, if they really brought you all that fulfillment and satisfaction and energy and love, then we would have the summer of love 69 all around us. Everybody would be singing and dancing in the streets because everybody is having orgasms. But what is the reality? Most people are having orgasms and their sex lives feel empty. Isn't this enough evidence that the orgasm didn't bring all that enrichment? We have been given this ideology that what really needs to happen in sex is that one intense sensation of pleasure, super intense sensation of pleasure. That one sensation, that is what needs to happen in sex. So sex is a quest to reach for that one intense sensation. Sex is the work of mining the body to get that one intense sensation. We have been told that this one intense sensation has magical powers. This one intense sensation is going to make you really happy and fulfilled. It's going to give you the most amazing sex life. This one intense sensation will create the whole richness of sexual relationship with your lover. And everybody's working to get to that one intense sensation like it makes total sense. Stop for a second and think, does it make sense? Let's say you get that one intense sensation of pleasure in sex. Then what? What have you got from it? What can one intense sensation of pleasure do for you? The point of sex is not to get one intense sensation. You can have sex like this. A lot of people are having sex like this. You can do whatever you want, but it's just going to be a very poor kind of sex that is going to give you very little. It's going to give you one very intense sensation of pleasure. That is what you're going to get from it. Is this all you want from sex? Because if it is, then people normally check out. They stop having sex in relationships. They start just watching TV and being on the phone because it simply makes no sense. And the senselessness of this is obvious. To spend all the time, to make time to be with each other, to work each other's bodies, to spend all that energy on it, to work each other up, to arouse each other's bodies, to get one intense sensation. And if that one intense sensation matters to you so much, then you know what? It's so much easier to go and do it on your own. Have a wank. It will take you 2 minutes. It will be so much quicker, so much more effective. You don't need to coordinate it with your lover. You don't need to work on their body. It's all so much more difficult. Sex becomes redundant. Your partner becomes redundant as a sexual partner. There is no point in having sex with a partner because that one intense sensation is far more easily achievable on your own. People very quickly realize this, and their sex life becomes just a burden, just a chore that sometimes they feel they have to do, but they know that it's not giving them anything. The purpose of sex is not to get one intense sensation. The purpose of sex is to be enriched. Sex is an experience that enriches you. Sex is an experience that nourishes you with energies, with beauty, with senses, with love, with connection. Sex has that really powerful, nourishing impact on you. It is an experience that feels incredibly alive and beautiful and rich and gorgeous. That is why you want it. And afterwards, you feel full of energy and life and love and beauty. Now, this enrichment doesn't happen from any one moment in sex. It doesn't happen from any one sensation. It can't. Sex is an experience that nourishes you moment by moment, through many moments, through the whole experience. This is how sex works, really. It does not work in the way that I told you, that one intense sensation will make everything happen. That is a lie. It is a fairy tale. It doesn't actually happen. Sex enriches you and nourishes you moment by moment, like any experience in the real world. In every moment of sex, you are being nourished by sexual energies, by love, by connection, by beauty. In every moment of sex, you are feeling sensations, vibrations that are flowing into your body. They are flowing as that bliss into your body. They are saturating your system. In every moment, you are being loved in your body, which is a powerful nourishing effect on you. In every moment, you're absorbing different kinds of beauty. Visual beauty, sensory beauty, relational beauty. These are all senses that are flowing into you and they are nourishing you. And this whole experience is a human interaction. In every moment, you are feeling that you are together. You are feeling connection. You are feeling that you're spending time with each other, that you are on a journey together, moment by moment. These are all the nutrients that are really feeding you. This is how sex actually nourishes you. This is the reality. This is how sex enriches you. It is an experience of saturation. You're spending time in sex, and every moment you're absorbing all this stuff and you're saturating with it little by little. You feel amazing after sex because you have collected many vibrations, many sensations of sexual energy into your system. This is why sex feels gorgeous, and this is why you feel amazing after sex. This cannot happen through any one sensation. It is impossible. It will only happen if you spend time in that field of beautiful sexual energy, filling up with it, saturating with it moment by moment for some time. That is the only way you are going to be nourished by sex. They have told you this story, that this one intense sensation is going to bring you everything. This one intense sensation is going to bring you all that aliveness that you're looking for, all that energy. This one intense sensation is going to bring you all that well-being, all that wellness, and all that beauty in your soul, in your body, in your heart. This is all going to happen through one intense sensation. Think about it. Does it make any sense? Even beyond this, they have told you that this one intense sensation is going to make you feel close and loved, and it's going to make you feel connection. It's going to make you feel harmony and happiness with your lover in your sexual relationship. Think about it. How can one intense sensation of pleasure make you feel loved, connected, intimate, harmonious, happy in your relationship? How can one intense sensation, the most intense sensation in the world, do that? We're expecting all of this from one intense sensation. It does not make any sense. You're making lots of vibrations of that beautiful energy. You are drinking them. You saturate with them. It's like listening to music. You can't saturate with music from one loudest sound in that song. It's not going to deliver anything to you. It doesn't matter if it's the loudest sound by tenfold. The only way music enriches you and makes any sense is if you listen to the whole piece of it and you allow it to enrich you moment by moment. All the value of sex, all the real enrichment from sex, all the real nutrition from sex, all the things that you really need from sex, they are not in the orgasm. They are in the whole experience of sex outside of the orgasm. But because we have been misdirected, we have been promised that it will all come from the orgasm, we keep getting orgasms and we feel dissatisfied, we feel frustrated, and we feel confused. And because we are so hopeful that sex can be something greater and we have been forced to practice this stimulation to the orgasm, we have created in desperation this whole mythology about the orgasm, the magical properties that this one moment will have, how it will give us everything. A whole mythology that the orgasm makes you feel alive and it's a spiritual state and you are, experiencing love and connection and wholeness and all that. You don't need the orgasm for that. You can feel that love, connection and nourishment and togetherness in every moment of sex for 1,000 moments. And the reason we believe this mythology is because the orgasm is the only place in sex, the only moment in sex when we experience some kind of connection and being together and merging and aliveness, because the rest of sex is probably a routine of working towards an orgasm. So in terms of the most powerful parts of sex, actually the most powerful part of sex is your whole body contact, because your whole body is a really rich field. It can receive a lot of very nourishing, very beautiful energy, all those sensations, all those feelings through each other's bodies. The physical pleasure of it, but also there are a lot of senses of beauty and erotic vibration and love that flows between your bodies, and closeness and connectedness. These are all really powerful nutrients that happen mainly through the whole body, not through the genitals. The second most powerful part of sex is experiencing sexual energy from the genitals, all the sensations, vibrations from your genitals flowing into your body in an ongoing way, on and on. They keep vibrating into your body, not going into the orgasm, before the orgasm. That really saturates you. And only in the last place is this experience of the orgasm, which feels very nice. Yes, it feels very intense, but it is one sensation of pleasure. It cannot do more for you than one moment. It cannot do more for you than being one sensation, no matter how intense it is. Everything before the orgasm, even if it is less intense, was 999 sensations. By any measure, you will have gotten a lot more nourishment from the rest of sex than you get from one intense sensation at the end. One sensation will never give you all that energy, all that aliveness, all that saturation, all that beauty, all that journey, all that connection, all that love, all that well-being. You need many moments to be enriched, and you need many diverse moments, different kinds of sexual energy, different kinds of beauty to be really enriched in sex. This is the only way that sex really enriches you. By the way, if you're interested in learning more, I teach you the complete practice of holistic sex in my online courses, which you can see on my website. I also have a free course for you called Transform Your Sex Now. It gives you some key lessons to change your sex life right now, today, and immediately bring more richness, nourishing energy, love, and connection into your sex right now. The link is below the video in the description. Go and download it. It is completely free for you. Now look, I am perfectly aware that this might not be your experience right now. That as I'm sitting here telling you about the fact that the value of the orgasm is a complete fairy tale, and that sex really nourishes you in every moment much more, that you might be thinking I am telling you fairy tales because this is not your experience. You might be thinking, I don't feel this in sex. You might be thinking you really like your orgasms and they feel really amazing, and the rest of sex is okay, it's nice enough, but certainly not as amazing as the orgasm. It doesn't feel like this super powerful, super enriching experience that I'm talking about. And that is totally understandable, because there is the other side to the orgasm question. So far, I've just been telling you that the orgasms feel nice as a very intense sensation of pleasure, but they just don't have so much. They don't have so much enrichment as the whole of sex, every moment of sex. So I've been comparing two positives and saying that, the positive of the orgasm is much smaller than the positive of the whole experience, the sexual energy throughout the experience of sex. But I haven't been adding to this picture the negative of the orgasm. The truth is, orgasms have destroyed our sex lives. There is very little left that is alive in our sex lives because of the orgasms, and that is why you are not feeling that energy in every moment of sex. It is not the orgasm itself, strictly speaking. It is this focus on the orgasm, the work on the orgasm, the attention, the importance that we give it during sex. This has had massive consequences, tremendously destructive and detrimental consequences to our quality of sex. Working on the orgasm in sex, we have turned sex into mechanical work, into lifeless routine. It is just mechanical stimulation of the mechanism. It is a repetitive, monotonous, boring stimulation of the nerve. That is the essence of sex for most people at the moment. Because the orgasm is so important, there is very little attention given to anything else. And in that mechanical, repetitive, monotonous, boring stimulation towards the orgasm, none of the good energy is created. There is no real enrichment. There is no real nourishment. There is no love felt in that moment. There is no connection felt in that moment. It is just work to the orgasm. When sex becomes stimulation towards an orgasm, which it most often is, everything that is really valuable, that is really enriching, that is really nourishing about sex has been taken out. Everything. Because there is nothing you can do there that has real enrichment. You can't create really nice energy in the moment. You can't create love. You can't create connection. You can't create that richness of the senses, because you have to be occupied with that work. There is nothing nice about this kind of sex. It is just work. It is just a project. One person is a tool. The other person is a nerve. You have to complete the job. You have to carry on with the project. You can't do what you want. You can't feel what you feel. You can't love what you love. You can't express creativity. You can't have spontaneity. You have to stay on course or the orgasm will drop. When most people are having sex now, it is not a space of enjoyment and bliss and lovemaking. It is a space of anxiety, pressure, stress, frustration, and work. So obviously that is not very nice sexual energy that you would feel as very enriching for you in your life. The only way you can create enriching moment of sex is to actually be in this moment and enjoy this moment, and not to be working to get to some kind of a release of the nerve. So yes, the moment of sex is not powerful, it is not nourishing, it is not enriching, it actually doesn't have much in it. Orgasms actually give us sex that is very lifeless, disconnected, unloving, devoid of any nutrition, any real energy, any real aliveness. So then that moment of the orgasm comes and it might feel very amazing, but that is an optical illusion. It only feels so amazing because the rest of sex was just mechanical work to get to that orgasm. And that reinforces that belief that the orgasm is something really amazing and really important and really special. So the real tragedy of this oppression of our sex by the orgasm is not just that this one sensation is a lie in terms of, all the promise of how it's going to fulfill you and make you happy and what it's going to deliver. It's that because in this work to get to that one sensation, everything else didn't happen. Everything else had no chance of happening. So all that nutrition was not created. All that enrichment wasn't created. Chasing that promise, we created no real energy. We were just working in sex. So not only that one sensation doesn't deliver, it has deprived us of all the value of sex on the way to it. And when that one sensation has come and gone in a flash, we expect it to compensate us for everything that didn't happen in sex because we were working to get that one sensation, and it doesn't. It doesn't because it can't. Now, this is real malnourishment. This is real depletion. This is a real absence of sexual energy in your life. This affects you. This affects your relationship. You would need to let go of focusing on the orgasm and really create that rich sexual energy in every moment. And, it's not rocket science, by the way. It's just perfectly learnable sex skills. And then you would experience, how much more sex can be than an orgasm. But the thing is, our ability to create really nice, rich sexual energy in every moment has disappeared. It has atrophied. Why? Because culturally, we have been obsessed with orgasms for so long that this is the only thing that has been left in our culture. All we learn and all we know is how to make each other come. Any other skills in sex, how to make each moment really nice, are like some kind of medieval craft that is long obsolete, and there are only a few craftsmen in every country who live somewhere in the mountains, and they know how to do things in sex that are not about making somebody come. Well, I'm taking the piss, of course. It's not like in the Middle Ages they knew how to make love. I'm just saying it's extremely rare in our culture to learn and to teach something that is not about making somebody come. So it's a very underdeveloped area. We never learn about it. If we want to learn about it, we don't have anywhere to learn about it from. So it is completely understandable if at the moment your experience is not that sex really nourishes you and enriches you in every moment, and the orgasm feels, really amazing in contrast to the rest of your sex. So this might be your reality right now, and you need to be aware of it. And you can't just test out what I say by trying it tonight, cutting off the orgasm and seeing if sex is going to feel really powerful and enriching, to see if I'm telling the truth. And you can't think that I'm lying to you because it didn't feel like this. Of course, it might not feel like this right now. Of course, you might need to recover your ability to create really rich sexual energy in every moment. You might need to learn a bit about it. You might need to grow into it. You might need to develop it. So the first step for that will be to release that faith that the orgasm is the most amazing thing, the most important thing in sex, even if at the moment you are not feeling as much in the rest of sex. You have to start with this step. You have to start on this journey like this, because only by stopping your focus on the orgasm, you will liberate this space to be able to finally be in the moment and create some really nice sexual energy in each moment. Only by connecting with the idea that this is where you need to be creating that value and creating that enrichment. And yes, it will take you a little bit of time to create it, but this is the only way that sex will ever nourish you. You have to understand this. You don't really have a choice. This is the only reality that is available to you. And if you are not living this reality right now, then you are not living any kind of quality in your sex. You are missing out on your greatest sex life, on your greatest experience, on that really powerful energy in your life. The only reality that is available to you is that sex will nourish you, will enrich you in every moment. That is the only reality you can create. You don't have the choice of choosing the other reality where the orgasm is going to enrich you more than anything else. The orgasm is going to deliver to you everything you want out of sex. It is not going to become a reality. It is not a reality that is available to you. That one intense sensation is not going to be able to bring you all that enrichment, that aliveness, that energy, that well-being, that love, that connection. There is nothing you can do to develop the orgasm, that one intense sensation of pleasure, to deliver to you all that. You cannot modify it. This is it. That reality doesn't exist. If you keep believing in that reality, the only thing that is going to happen is that you are just going to be getting not so much. So the only option you have to you available as a reality is to enrich every moment of sex for yourself. So I will conclude the first part here, and I will continue this conversation with you in the second part to this episode. There is more to tell you, more angles to this question of orgasms that really bother people. First of all, I will tell you about this belief that a lot of people have that you need to have an orgasm in sex, that if you don't get that release, then you're going to feel not very nice after sex. So that is completely not true, and I will explain that to you in the second part. We will also talk about this belief that people have that even though it is understandable that you can improve the rest of sex and make it more enriching, the orgasm is still the best experience you can have in sex, and therefore it is important to include because you wouldn't want to exclude the best thing you can feel in sex. So I will cover that as well, and I will explain to you why the orgasm is by far not the best thing you can feel in sex. That is completely false. I will also talk to you about the other things that are called orgasms, the ongoing orgasmic experiences, the ongoing orgasmic states, and I will explain to you why they are also not important. They also don't make good sex, because there is a lot of confusion about that as well. And in the end, I will conclude by telling you what to do about orgasms in your sex life, that you don't need to avoid them, you don't need to stop them, that's not necessary, you can keep having them, but how to keep having orgasms, but at the same time to make sure that your sex is truly enriching and nourishing and valuable in all the important ways, how to do that, and how to make sure that orgasms don't have this destructive and oppressive effect on your sex life. So all of that is coming up in part 2 to this episode. So the real tragedy of this oppression of our sex by the orgasm is not just that this one sensation is a lie in terms of, all the promise of how it's going to fulfill you and make you happy and what it's going to deliver. It's that because in this work to get to that one sensation, everything else didn't happen. Everything else had no chance of happening. So all that nutrition was not created. All that enrichment wasn't created. The only reality that is available to you is that sex will nourish you, will enrich you in every moment. That is the only reality you can create. You don't have the choice of choosing the other reality where the orgasm is gonna enrich you more than anything else. The orgasm is gonna deliver to you